So did Florida investigators find chloroform in Kaylee Anthony's hair? This weekend on Fox News, Geraldo Rivera interviewed forensic scientist, that is, Dr. Michael Baden, about the unrelated Anna Nicole Smith case. Well, he asked the doctor if it was irrelevant to test hair, like they did for Kaylee. Well, here's part of what Dr. Baden said, something Geraldo didn't seem to pick up on. He said, quote, "Yeah, I think where they found chloroform in the baby's hair." So was there chloroform in Kaylee's hair? Now, Dr. Baden is married to one of Casey's defense team attorneys. So did she tell him that? So many questions coming out of that. Here to talk about this with us, Marva Hinton, reporter, WDBO Radio in Orlando. Also with us, Florida State Prosecutor Pam Bondi, criminal defense attorney Michelle Suskauer, and forensic pathologist Dr. Michelle Dupre. Okay, thank everybody for joining us. Taking your calls, by the way, 1-877-TEL-HLN, emails, texts as well. Marva, this is new to us, right? First time we've heard about chloroform in Kaylee's hair? Right?
That's right, Mike. I had never heard that before. In fact, all we had heard about chloroform up to this point was that there was a high concentration of it found in Casey's car and that someone had looked up chloroform on the Anthony home computer at some point before Kaylee disappeared.
Okay, it's been a big topic of conversation. Let's bring in Dr. Michelle Dupre. Doctor, can you detect chloroform on the hair? How would that go about?
Yes, it actually is possible to do that. Typically, when we think of detecting drugs in a hair sample, we detect them from chronic use. However, in this case, if there was a significant amount of chloroform in the car and the hair was able to absorb that through osmosis, say, then it would be detectable.
So it would show either way. Either, if this is the case, it would show one fatal dose or chronic exposure. You could.
It would show one fatal dose, perhaps, if the hair absorbed it. But if the person, say, was given chloroform to knock them out, it is not likely that that would show up.
Okay.
But if it was in the trunk and chloroform was put in the trunk, then it would likely show up.
Okay, let's bring in our Florida State Prosecutor, Pam Bondi. Pam, if true, chloroform in the hair, that's got to be huge for the prosecution.
Yes, Mike, it could be very huge for the prosecution. It's just one more nail in this case that's getting better, it seems like, every day. You know, though Dr. Baden could, I know Mike Baden very well, and he could have simply misspoke on that as well, because if he knows, if he's aware of that, that means, of course, the defense is aware of it, and soon it'll all be released to the media. So I can't imagine that hasn't been released yet publicly,
Gotcha.
if that is the case.
And prosecution would know about this as well, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. I mean, they would know about it first,
right.
And then the defense attorney would be the next person, and then it would be under Florida's very liberal discovery laws. It would be released to the media, so maybe that's coming out next week.
Gotcha.
If so, it's a great strength for the prosecution.
All right, let's bring in our criminal defense attorney, Michelle Suskauer. Michelle, your thoughts on this? Go ahead.
Well, I actually agree with Pam. I think maybe it was a little misstatement, because I'm surprised that we wouldn't have heard about this already. It seems like the state has released all of its terrible evidence against Casey already. So, I mean, I guess we may find out next week, but it sounds like maybe it was a little bit of a misstatement. But certainly, if it is true, it is a very, very tough fact. And the only thing that I could think of is trying to pin it on the boyfriend, which is, you know, pointing anywhere away from your client that you possibly can do.
Yeah.
Any direction but you.
And your boyfriend, you're talking about Ricardo Morales.
That's
He's
right.
the guy that had win her over with chloroform.
That's right.
Written on a MySpace page. So, and again, let's stay with you, Michelle, on that as a defense front. That's the guy you got to veer that toward, right? Because chloroform was our, you know, when we talk about chloroform and Google searches for neck breaking and household items as weapons, that's when it really shifted, especially in the area of public opinion, that, hey, maybe she did plan this all along, right?
That's right. That's right. But you want to say, you know, you're going to have to use a better defense than any defense that sort of has been intimated by her defense lawyer already. So anything that you can do to create some reasonable doubt, saying that it could have been anyone else, and look at the boyfriend's computer, look at what he has, look at what he's researched, that is very and you know, again, creating a timeline. Did he have access to the car, access to the child? So that's really important. I think that's one avenue that they can use.
Pam, how much of this case is going to come down to a battle of the experts and forensics when we're talking about whether it's chloroform or it just as you and I have talked so many times about the evidence we're seeing?
Well, much of it, you know, they have a botanist, all type DNA experts. I mean, this is why I think the trial is going to take so long to prosecute, because it's going to be a battle of the experts. However, what we also have are all of Casey Anthony's own actions and what she did, and you know, no expert testimony in the world can dispute those videos of what she did. And really, it's all her bad acts, but they are going to be relevant in this case and very powerful for the prosecution.
Yeah. Okay, guys, want to shift topics here. And there's been a wild, really a gross rumor out there. And here's an email that kind of alludes to that. This is from Joyce in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, saying, I believe it is highly possible that Lee Anthony fathered Kaylee, and they were afraid one day someone would find out. Otherwise, it is important to know who the father is, if only to negate the possibility it was Lee. That's been out there. Let's bring in Marva Hinton, reporter WDBO Radio. Marva, we can put this one to rest, can't we? Lee is not the father.
That's right, Mike. It came out in the last discovery that we got. You know, there was just hundreds and hundreds of pages, so it might have been missed by some at first. But the FBI did do DNA testing, and they discovered that Lee is not the father of Kaylee.
Yeah, it's amazing how that rumor took on a life of its own. Again, just there's a gross rumor there, but thankfully we can put that one to bed. Guys, another topic I want to hit on. WUSH is reporting that the state has released its witness list, including family members who will be subpoenaed. Let's stay with Marva Hinton, reporter WDBO Radio. Who are we hearing on the list, Marva?
Well, reportedly Cindy and George Anthony, Casey's parents, her brother Lee, his girlfriend, Cindy's mother, Kaylee's great-grandmother, as well as the staff at the nursing home where that video of Kaylee was taken that we've all seen where she's singing. They want to interview them because that video was taken right before Kaylee disappeared. Okay.
Pam, no surprise here that the state could call George, Cindy, Lee, and so on?
No, not at all. And Mike, it doesn't mean that they have to call them. They're diligent prosecutors, and they should, as they're doing, subpoena every possible witness in this case, because perhaps the defense could also put on evidence, and then some of these witnesses they may need in rebuttal. So no, it doesn't mean they're going to call them. They have to call them, but they need to list them all.
Okay, Michelle, as we look ahead, family members, is that good or bad? I mean, I'm sure they're going to be hostile witnesses for the prosecution. They're going to be up there trying to defend Casey, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it really can cut both ways, because if they're going to be subpoenaed, they have to appear, but we don't know really what they're going to say when they're on that stand, because they're going to be looking at their daughter knowing that any misstep, anything that they say against her can send her to prison for life. So they really, their credibility is really going to be challenged if they come out against the state, because they're trying to protect her.
Okay, Pam, what about public statements they've made? You're talking about Cindy saying the car smells like a dead body, or George Anthony, he smelled death as well.
Right.
How's that going to figure in?
Right. That's all very important, very relevant. It's going to come in. But again, I still believe Cindy's a loose cannon. That's one where, as a prosecutor, you know, you can't pick your witnesses, and you kind of hold your breath because you don't know what the mother could blurt out on the witness stand. But I think George Anthony is a very critical witness for the prosecution.
Okay, let's get a phone call in. Diane in Michigan. Hi, Diane. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Diane.
I just want to know, at the beginning of this whole case about Kaylee, George and Cindy Anthony said that they couldn't afford to adopt Kaylee, but they seem to live there, Casey and Kaylee, all their life. That is Kaylee's life.
Right.
And she has a beautiful bedroom, lots of toys, or the backyard, all the toys. And I just don't understand, as a family member, what they mean they couldn't afford it.
Well, let's ask Marva Hinton that. Marva, in all the discovery and all the documents we've seen, how far do they get with that, with possibly adopting little Kaylee?
I'm not sure exactly how far they got with it, Mike, or if they even really pursued it that seriously, but it is something that they had talked about a lot. I don't know if they had gone so far as to get an attorney and look into actually doing the adoption, but several times there were threats that we can take Kaylee away from you type of thing.
Gotcha. Okay, guys, going to have to leave it there. I'd like to thank our experts, as always. We'll keep you updated throughout Casey Anthony. Thanks again, guys.